I would like to address the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Tomorrow, people will join in Seattle to grieve, to protest, and to commit themselves to the cause of justice. I urge those of you who plan to take part to do so peacefully.
We want change throughout the system, starting with police brutality.
They're not even listening to us. The first step would be speak to us. Open your mind.
We need to stay together as a team. If you're not with us, please get out the way.
I'm King 5 reporter Natalie Swaby. We were on the streets of Capitol Hill to report on the protest. Now, 5 years later, we bring you our coverage from 2020 and reflect on the events that caught the nation's attention. It's been 5 years since the Seattle Police Department abandoned its East Precinct in the Capitol Hill neighborhood following protests sparked by the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Protesters set up around the precinct in what would eventually be referred to as the Capitol Hill Organized Protest, better known as CHOP.
We have people threatening us and then people who fired upon us. So we were just being sure that people who are coming through are aware that this is what this is.
The protest zone covered 6 blocks and lasted from June 8th until early July of 2020.
Can I ask why you're following me?
To make sure you're not doing anything you don't need to be doing.
What would that be? What are the orders you got?
Welcome to Seattle's autonomous zone. This is what happens when protesters take over an entire city block, including a police station. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. It's about 3 or 4 streets, just famous for being ground zero for protests in Seattle. I've been covering protests here for a decade now. This is about where they all start and about where they all end at Cal Anderson Park. It's a very, very progressive, liberal neighborhood in this country. The energy goes to about a level 11. Police intervene. But in the late hours and in the morning hours, like it is here right now, you can actually talk to people and you can get a feel for how they really feel, and everyone's a lot calmer.
Just dropped by to see what they needed, and now I work here.
Oh, really? Yeah. How long have you worked here? What's your...
Maybe an hour.
Okay.
I see a lot of people that likely live in the neighborhood walking their dogs, and people coming to take pictures because they're curious.
Thank you so much.
And then I've had a lot of people come up to me because clearly I work here now. And there is a sign here that shows what supplies they want.
This, what you see here, was within 24 hours. This is called the No Crop Co-op. Literally, I started because I forgot my sign up there. After running for my life, and I came back the next day because I wanted to get it, and I saw this food because people had abandoned it. You've seen people donate. That was already happening, and I started with 1 bag. I asked on Twitter for a tent. 10 minutes later, someone's like, I have one. We got cases upon cases of milk yesterday. The local businesses are bringing pints of ice cream. As a joke, because we didn't need anything, we asked for a basketball hoop, and that was delivered within a few hours.
Well, do you work? Do you have a job? Are you furloughed? Are you...
No, I have a job, but I can work remotely.
Where are you from?
I'm a furloughed chef, just trying to help out.
That's more of like the support mechanism, the people, the donations tent. So I'm gonna go check out and see what the rest of the protest is up to.
What's your deal? Why are you down here?
Keeping a border or a wall between, cops, whoever wants to hurt these people, period.
Are people trying to hurt them?
Not as far as I've been here. I've only been standing out here for about 12 hours, but...
Do you live here?
I live all around here. I don't have a home, so...
Oh, we're totally awesome.
How's it going?
Oh, it's good.
What's your job?
My job is to nothing. No, I don't have a job at the moment. I actually quit my job to come and protest.
This is Fox, and we're not answering questions.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
Who are you? What brings you here?
So I am here under a pseudonym. I'll leave it at that. That makes it irrelevant. And my purpose here is to make sure that everybody who's in there is safe and protected because we are a non-violent movement. whether that's from violent police action or from Proud Boy incursion, things like that.
How does this end?
How does this end? That's a good question. Ideally, what this looks like is the city takes us seriously, that we need cultural change, and that happens by the standards that we set in our laws. The only reason why we have made police unwelcome here is because their presence has been largely antagonistic. While they aren't here, there's nothing but peace and humanity over there, and it is beautiful.
I'm not kidding. I mean, this guy, he's following me. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but he has a 9mm gun on his hip with no ammunition, and at least that I can see.
That's what he said. It's terrifying. Okay, have
Thank
a good
you.
day.
Can I ask why you're following me?
To make sure you're not doing anything you don't need to be doing.
What would that be? What are the orders you got? Did they give you orders to stop the media?
No.
Do you hate the media? What am I not supposed? What do they tell you to stop? Have a nice day.
It does make me a little uncomfortable.
Fist bump deal. I will stop. I'm out. I don't take pictures of you.
You stop following me. Deal. Talk it out. They just need to do that here.
Coming up, protesters set up shop as police abandon the East Precinct in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. As protesters secured the area for what would be a weeks-long demonstration, city officials were met with difficult decisions on how to move forward without escalating the situation.
You want to call it anything, it's the people's community.
That's what this protester says, but today police say they're concerned about safety and their goal is to reopen the East Precinct. According to Assistant Chief Deanna Nolet, they've seen checkpoints where people are armed, and she says, quote, "We've heard of people ask for ID and that a business was told they needed to make a donation to be in the area." Rook, who has been staying here, says he has not seen that.
It's not nothing aggressive or violent or nothing like that. We didn't come out here for any of that.
He says the community is welcome, and while there's no one leader here, there is a unified message.
That's what those faces on the walls, Black lives killed by the police. We want people to see that those lives matter.
That's posted on the side of the East Precinct, and above, the sign now says Seattle People Department. Some are calling it Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. When asked what it'll take to get protesters to clear the streets, Rook's answer was vague.
We're hoping to see a better, if not system society altogether.
The blocked off area is an obstacle for the fire department.
How would we get a person from a medical call out of here?
That's why Fire Chief Harold Scoggins is here, making sure there's a way to bring help in if it's needed. The barricades have become an urgent issue for Seattle city leaders, including Councilmember Andrew Lewis.
I oversee, the mayor and the police department. I'm certainly going to be having conversations with them as this process unfolds.
This is what it sounded like as Police Chief Carmen Best entered the boarded up East Precinct. Outside, protesters have set up tents.
We're not firing on people. We're not flexing our guns. And
Maurice Colas says they are peaceful. He does acknowledge they have blocked roads.
we have people threatening us and then people who fired upon us. So we're not just stopping people from coming through. We were just being sure that people who are coming through are aware that this is what this is, and if you could, it would be more effective to go around.
But the police chief says the barricades are a safety concern.
How long can you allow people to stay out there and block the road?
Well, you know, we're not going to try to deal with that. I just want to look at the building.
Are you going to reopen this precinct?
Yeah, well, we're trying to evaluate. I absolutely just came into the building to look around to see what damage was in here.
The chief says she wants to bring officers back, but for now, it's protesters out here with their message.
What people are doing is working through the trauma that they have experienced from being terrorized by the police department.
We want change throughout the system. We want change for everything that's not fair out here, and there's a lot of it. We are here for the black community. We are here because we want change, starting with police brutality.
They're not even listening to us. The first step would be speak to us. Open your mind.
They're calling for a dialogue with officers about the police brutality and the inequities that they've seen. So frustrating for one protester, he broke down in tears and was comforted by this police sergeant.
It's okay. I understand. I really do. And that's why I really do. I'm a 57-year-old man of color that's worked in the Seattle Police Department for 30 years. So I know.
To the rest of the world, this area is the CHOP or Chaz.
We're not even here most of the time, and it's terrible to live here right now. It's just not conducive.
To Surjan, it's his backyard. He's only comfortable using his first name. He lives in one of the apartment buildings bordering Cal Anderson Park, and here's video he shot of what his block looks like now.
What you want from a home is a stress-free environment. You want to be able to sleep well. You want to feel comfortable. We just don't feel comfortable right now.
So Surjan and his fiancée are leaving. They'll stay with family for the next week. Their complaints aren't unique. We've received emails from many that say they have real concerns about living inside or near the Capitol Hill organized protest zone, an area that police have publicly said they won't respond to unless there's a significant threat to life. Noise complaints aren't very high on that list.
Anything, but we need to find some sort of compromise where we can continue on with our lives and they can continue to do whatever agenda they have for themselves.
CHOP leaders are currently in negotiation with the city about what the future will look like. We wanted to know if they've addressed the concerns of the neighbors.
What is your message to frustrated residents that have complaints about loud music, about being uncomfortable with being home, walking in and out at night? What do you say to them?
If that discomforts them, I can't imagine how they feel about black people being murdered by police.
Shootings inside CHOP prompt the city to take action and begin to retake the area. By now, CHOP had caught national attention with violence seeping into the protest zone. After 2 fatal shootings and no sign of protesters leaving, police would retake the East Precinct.
This video captured by somebody in the CHOP zone shows the chaotic scene. It was around 2:30 in the morning when shots were fired. Police tried to respond to 911 calls, but were met with a crowd that pushed back, demanding that officers stay out. Alex Bennett was just walking her dog when she came across one of the victims.
I saw one gunshot wound on his arm, so I took off my sweatshirt and tied it around his arm above where the gunshot wound was so I could make a tourniquet to try to keep the bleeding down.
Bennett used to be a nurse and said she and CHOP medical crews tried to help. She said somebody called 911, but they were told paramedics couldn't come because police were being blocked from entering. CHOP medics brought a van to take him to the hospital, and then they spent several minutes looking for a backboard.
I finally was just like, he is really going into shock. Like, I just need like a few guys to help me. We're just gonna lift him up. And so we just picked him up and got him into the back of the van.
Bennett said she and others rode to Harborview with the back of the van open. At times, she had to grip another woman to make sure that she didn't fall out. She supports the protests, but believes precious time was lost.
If an ambulance could have come, he would have been there a lot sooner, and he, I think, would probably have been in a lot better shape.
And I heard some arguments about, well, people are hurt, we need to let the paramedics transport them. And I heard, again, loud calls and chants to stand ground, to not let anybody in the CHOP.
Mary Ellen Donnelly lives across the street and heard the gunshots and watched the scene evolve. She has begged lawmakers to intervene for everyone's safety.
We need help. I mean, we live here. We need to not be ignored. There needs to be a dialogue. And I think the initial protest has gotten lost.
Seattle police spent hours collecting evidence and interviewing witnesses about the second death at the Capitol Hill organized protest zone. It's a police presence that hasn't been seen in weeks. Video posted online shows the moments leading up to the shooting. What appears to be a white Jeep seen driving recklessly on the Cal Anderson soccer field. Just before 3 a.m., more than a dozen gunshots were heard on a live stream. The white Jeep is then seen slamming into barricades. Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best says the same Jeep was found riddled with bullets.
And it is abundantly clear to our detectives people had been in and out of the car after the shooting. Detectives are trying to get information from witnesses.
Detectives interviewed protesters who said they were in the CHOP at the time of the shooting with no luck.
But as has been the case in other crime scenes up in this area, people are not being cooperative with our requests for help.
Meanwhile, the mood at the so-called CHOP has shifted. A zone originally occupied by people protesting police brutality and demanding a 50% cut to SPD's budget is now reeling with episodes of violence while trying to keep its message alive.
On your left, a business owner. On your right, a longtime Capitol Hill employee. Both agreed to speak if we protect their identities, because both fear retaliation for what they're about to say.
It makes me on edge. It makes me not feel safe in a neighborhood that I basically grew up in.
And it's just been this forgotten wasteland. The businesses and residents here are all struggling. Services won't be able to roll in here and help anyone out. Streets are continuing to be blocked every day. It's hard for people in getting out of their garages.
Protesters in what's called the Capitol Hill Organized Protest Zone, the CHOP, have proven they can hold their ground. Sunday, what so many in the neighborhood feared, a second shooting in 2 days, this one leaving a teenage boy injured. Neighbors say while large crimes like this get headlines, many are going unreported. This, as police have said, they won't enter the CHOP unless there's a severe threat to life.
There's absolutely no rules for anybody here.
That's what it was, because I didn't want to be a leader of this, like definitely. And I didn't even want to be a voice. I was trying to amplify other people's voices.
While protesters will tell you the movement has no leader, Monday afternoon in a live stream with Hip Hop Bible, a music production, Raz Simone, one of the louder voices of the movement, spoke out.
There are so many people there. You can't speak for anyone. You know what I mean? You can't say that this is what we do, this is what we don't do.
Simone says at the very beginning of this, he initially stopped protesters from entering the East Precinct because he felt it would lead to violence from police. So protesters continue to hold the line, setting camp outside the station and claiming several city blocks. Meanwhile, the businesses who can stay open.
I have employees, we have to pay them. We have to keep everybody employed. When it's shut down, we're not making any money.
You're inside this building! You need to come out with your hands up! You need to do it right now!
With the SWAT team leading the way, Seattle police returned to the graffiti-riddled East Precinct this morning.
We're home. Hey, we're home.
And walked through the familiar spaces they were ordered to abandon 23 days ago.
All right, everybody stay shrimp check! Shrimp check!
It was a return for officers who've had little to celebrate since police brutality protests, property damage, and violence rocked the city last month. Their push to take back the East Precinct began early this morning. Around 5 a.m., a mass of blue gathers around the CHOP. This is the view from our camera that was permitted behind the police lines.
Hey, watch this car.
With barricades pulled back and police marching in formation, some people ignore the warnings to move on.
I am now issuing a public safety order to disperse.
Just before 5:30 this morning, officers clash with protesters, and the first of what would be some 30 arrests are made. Step by step,
No, get over me!
Capitol Hill's organized protest zone is falling as officers move through the tents, booths, and barricades. Around 6 a.m., police enter Cal Anderson Park, dotted with the tents of many of the protesters.
You are here illegally. I am issuing you an order to disperse now.
No real struggles here,
You need to come out or you're going to be arrested.
as the occupants of Cal Anderson Park reluctantly walk away. Around 7 a.m., our camera follows as officers make their first approach to the East Precinct. Once SWAT has cleared the building, officers start pouring in.
Let's take a look around, see what we got going here.
Followed by Seattle's police chief.
We're back in our precinct, finally. There's a lot of work to do still, but thank you all for all the work. The neighborhood, I walked the whole perimeter, and people are coming out. They are just grateful and thankful that we're here.
There we go. These officers feel like they're home again.
Hundreds of officers working alongside an army of city crews on Seattle's Capitol Hill. The Capitol Hill organized protest zone, the CHOP, is just a memory. And Tuesday, most of the physical reminders were cleared.
2 weeks ago, I saw the umbrellas and the tear gas. So between that and this, it's completely different.
Emily Zelig, for the first time in weeks, is seeing her physical therapist in person. But before that appointment, she can't help but reflect on all that's happened.
I feel a little sad that it's all over because there was something big about the movement.
More than 3 weeks ago, Seattle police abandoned the East Precinct after a relentless push by protesters. A building that was claimed by the people. Today, the paint has been wiped clean. The park that once housed hundreds is closed for the time being. But not all the protesters have gone home. Overnight, live stream cameras captured yet another confrontation. More than 24 protesters were arrested near Broadway and Pine for refusing to leave. Police held the line. And by morning, the cleanup continued.
As a photographer, we're here to gather content and make sure that we're preserving the history.
Street photographer Kiyoki Silvano is trying to capture what he can before the majority of the graffiti, or artwork, depending on who you ask, is pressure washed or painted over.
I'm still at a loss of words. It's a lot different from seeing all the people that were here, that were living here, that had made a home here for the last couple of weeks.
But not all will be lost. Remember that Black Lives Matter painting stretching across Pine? Well, today's city crews took steps towards making it permanent. A lasting reminder of what happened on these half-dozen city blocks.
Thanks for joining us in the look back at such a pivotal point in Seattle's history. For King 5, I'm Natalie Swaby.